Hello, everyone. I'm John Tesh, along with Phil Liggett, and welcome to the Tour de France bike race. In a little while, this great race will make its finish right here along Europe's most glamorous avenue, the Champs-Élysées. And Phil, it began 23 days ago, and through it all, it really has been a battle between the Frenchman and the American, Hinault and LeMond.
John, it most certainly has. If you can remember, over 3 weeks ago, 210 riders, a record field, set out. Today, almost 40% of those riders have given up. But all the time, the two principal players have been LeMond and Benard Hinault. And if you can cast your mind back a year ago, that was where the rivalry and the battle really began, in the mountains of France 12 months back. And this has been one of the greatest Tour de France's because of two of the world's greatest cyclists.
And one of them lives in Quessoy, France, in the heart of Brittany. Home for Benard Hinault and his family. That is when Papa isn't off winning the world's most prestigious bike race.
Just like that.
Kortrijk, Belgium. Home for American LeMond and his family, who have moved from Nevada so LeMond can train and race in Europe with the best. These are two men as different as red and white. Hinault relaxes in his wine cellar, firmly ensconced in the land of his ancestors. LeMond makes his life as an expatriate American, longing to return his family to the shores of America, but committed to a European sport that insists he raise his family here in Europe. The face of the Badger. It was a name given to Hinault years ago for his tenacity. Beware, American. The Badger is quiet only at home.
The two family men soon faced their reality when the Tour set off from the Paris suburbs on July the 4th. A record entry of 210 riders made their way due north towards the coastline of Calais and the nearest point to England. And even on these opening flat stages, Hinault was never content to watch. He always felt the urge to attack. There were two reasons. The route was heading towards his home in Brittany, and he wanted to tire the specialist climbers over the roads they hated the most. LeMond knew he had to stay close to his friend, or was it a rival, right from the start? And at this early stage, LeMond wasn't sure of Hinault's intention. The opening week of the 2,500 miles race followed the northern coastline through Normandy, where Americans have come before on less happy occasion. Then the route plunged south through the vineyards. Unable to conceal it any longer, Hinault was receiving treatment for an eye infection caused by the dust of the countryside. Would it hinder his performance? His rivals would soon know. LeMond was also ill with diarrhea, and he'd need to be in top condition if he was to conquer the mountains that were coming closer with every pedal turn. And as the race went on through the vineyards and Bayonne, the Pyrenees were in sight. The race was about to begin. And Hinault, in company with Spain's Pedro Delgado, entered the Pyrenees with the intention of breaking everyone's spirit. On the road to Pau, he led by 3 miles. On this first day in the mountains, LeMond was already confused like everyone else, but he didn't know what Hinault was planning. In Pau, Hinault was the leader by a massive 5.5 minutes. Was the race already over? LeMond's face distraught. This attack by Hinault had not been expected. Was Hinault a teammate or a rival? But the very next day, LeMond took back 4 of the 5 minutes. The impossible achieved. After the Pyrenees, the race moved on towards the Alps and the next battleground between two men who both wanted to win the race. Both appeared equal. But on the very first day, exactly a week ago, LeMond vented his fury on a man who has forced him to prove he is the best. LeMond was drawn by the thought of a yellow jersey. And suffering visibly, the Badger was being forced back into his corner. At last, history was made. After 83 years of the Tour de France, an American is dressed in yellow. And LeMond had recovered 8 minutes in less than a week from Hinault to do it.
And so it was last Sunday that LeMond stood in the yellow jersey. But still, one more week of racing remaining through the Alps and a crucial time trial. We'll be back with more of our coverage of the Tour de France in a moment.
All right, Terry.